Hey guys, I'm Ash, your D-Class hero, and this is a video about my experience with the game Furi. Now, when I originally picked up this game, it's free on the PlayStation Plus store, so I didn't think too much about it, and I just kind of jumped into it. I didn't really think too much about this game, and I just looked at kind of the screenshots and the gameplay videos, and it looked very interesting to me. To me, this game just seems like a mix-up of just boss battles, a hack and slash mixed up with a bullet hell shooter, which to me is very interesting. The cinematics look great. I mean, I think it's an indie game. I'm not quite sure, but for what I'm seeing visually, it looks great. I like it. The art style is very different from what you usually see in your normal games, and I think that works out in this game's favor. Now, in the first fight, you fight the three-mask jailer. I don't know what his actual name is, so I'm just calling him that. And during this fight, you'll find little pop-ups of how to play the game. But as this fight goes on, you learn other things, or as you play the game in general. At one point, I found out that, messing with the right analog stick, my character goes into this pose and looks like a charge-up. And at first, he glows like, okay, what's this do? I get hit, or I couldn't deflect, or whatnot, and I just go back to normal. I had no idea what it was. And it wasn't until about halfway through this fight that I figured out that, okay, that doubles my attack power. And I thought that was really neat. And eventually, throughout this video, I actually unlocked a trophy by using that pose a couple of times. I unlocked the Neon Swagger trophy, which was hilarious. Just shouting that out in the middle of the video, and everyone's like, "What's he saying?" It's just seeing that trophy just made me laugh because it just seemed like such a weird trophy, but still very fitting for this game. Now, throughout the boss battles, each boss seems like they have their own skill set. For example, the three-mask jailer has his bow staff. Has a lot of orb shots, and he's obviously the weakest boss in the game, being the first guy you fight, which is no surprise. But throughout each battle, regardless of who the boss is, you eventually have to roll down each bar of health down to 0, and eventually enter this kind of a duel-like situation. And within that little duel in and of itself, you had to whittle down his health bar again before he actually loses a health bar. Which is kind of like, okay, so here's the first shell of armor. Now you can actually get to the meat and bones of the whole battle. Which is really interesting. Because, you gotta learn how to deflect or counter, or you gotta time your dodges for whenever he melees or does an area attack. And sometimes they have their own little abilities, which you'll find out later in this video. And so far, what I've seen with this first boss is, he's got a lot of AoEs, and his final move is very interesting. Because it is just literally a bullet hell shooter where you're just trying to survive waves and waves of energy attacks while shooting orbs to destroy them, and you're just trying to survive. You can't damage him while he's like this. You gotta wait till it's over and just hopefully not bite it. I am not good at bullet hell shooters. So this for me was like a big learning curve. It's like, okay, these big red orbs, I can't destroy them, so I gotta find a way around them without taking a hit. Otherwise, I'm going down. And eventually, I managed to get there. So I entered the final battle with this guy, and at this point, I got a pretty good hang of what I'm doing. Now, this guy is obviously a lot easier than you would think. I mean, I just picked up this game randomly, not knowing what to do, and pretty much got the hang of it really quick. I do like the cinematics where you actually do a proper counter. A perfect counter will go into this little cutscene-like animation where you do a bit of damage, a little bit more than you normally would when you counter, but also has this cool little scene of badassness for your character. And right here we have the finisher for the first jailer. I lost the footage for the second boss, so I'm sorry if that one's not in here. But here's the third boss. This guy was a pain in the ass. He had the most going on. At first, he had this whole barrier set up, 3 layers of which it was pretty much the game Brick Break. That old arcade game or computer game you find every once in a while where you just gotta destroy the walls and all that while just trying to hit him in the center. Fun, but the problem was every time you hit one of the barriers, they'd bounce back or multiply, doubling the damage and just hurting you. You had to take 2 fully charged rail shots from your gun to destroy half a barrier. Doing that twice to destroy 1. The last phase of this guy's fight was just pure insanity. Every time you hit the pillar with your gun, it would just spew out more and more orbs towards you in your general direction, or just randomly depending. And the main guy's body would just shoot out these yellow orbs that would spiral around if you destroyed a pillar. It would just cause a lot of damage if you actually got hit by them. But when you eventually destroyed them all, you got him 1 hit and the guy was done. Fun fight. And then we have Boss 3, the Fish. Or at least what they call him in game. Don't know what his actual name is. This boss's entire claim to fame was the fact that he could clone himself and multiply his attacks. With this mechanic, I really do enjoy it. For a bullet hell shooter such as Furi, it works out really well, because then you just gotta be very precise in your movement, or just have the perfect timing. And I just think that's fantastic to have when it comes to a game of this design. It eventually got to the point in the fight where he had these waves, and the clones would produce them also. And you had to dodge them just right, otherwise you're getting hit by like 1, 2, 3, maybe even 4 if the combo goes on. And you pretty much lose an entire bar of health if you got hit by all of them. His fight definitely evolved. When it got to the final phase, it replicated the first boss's wave mode bullet hell shooter thingy. Except it gave you this cage essentially, where you had to dodge the beams, the orbs, and the waves from the clones. I really liked it. It was a cool mechanic. Moving on, we had the 4th boss, who is my favorite one, to be honest, because overall I like his design. I like his concept. He is literally a knight. At one point in the video, I actually call him Lancelot because he just seems that way. He was definitely the most melee-oriented boss in this game. And it really challenged me when it came to my deflects and my counters and all that. And I like that because throughout the first 3 bosses, I could kind of, BS my way through it. Because honestly, I'm not that good at it. I maybe get the occasional good deflect or the good counter and, do some damage. Overall, I just dodge and hope for the best. This guy really forced me to adapt and get better at something I wasn't good at. And this shows this game will push you, and I do like that. My only disappointment about this fight was the fact that he got rid of his shield halfway through it. Now, the reason that disappoints me is because his shield provided now a challenge to the player. It wasn't that he could, block your shots or, deflect your melees or anything. He can do that with the sword alone. The shield, when you shot at it with a flurry of bullets, he'd send them all back to you in layers and layers of spheres. And the more that bounced off the shield, the more layers there were, the more you had to dodge, and you had to have good timing. It was a really, really cool thing. It was another challenge that this fight provided, and it just was upsetting the fact that he got rid of that. Because he only used it for about not even a 1/4 through the fight, and then it just became all melee. The reason why I like this boss, as I said before, is because he is more melee than anything else and provided another challenge for me to grow and improve as a player. But his his last phase of the fight was great because it became a duel. It became nothing but a duel because he would create this outer ring that if you were stepping it, you would just take damage. It provided you a smaller space to move around, react, and just dodge and attack. See right here, here's that ring I'm talking about. You touch it, you're taking damage. But he also can step in and is completely unfazed. And it's just a really cool thing because it pretty much suits his character, it suits the fight, and it just works out in a really well way artistically, gameplay wise and just in terms of story, because for this guy it is a battle to the death, much like the other bosses, but this guy it's much more suiting. Now right here is the coup d'etat of sorts, because when you finally got his health down, it was nothing but melee after melee over and over and over again. This is the part where you improve. You either die or you improve, because you got good timing to deflect or counter all of his attacks when he's in that final rush. And for me, I listened for the sound effect, looked for the glow on his sword, and then reacted. And it was a spectacular fight. It was probably my favorite one in the entire game so far. This is only the 4th, 5th boss or whatnot, and it's just, this game has not let me down. So to you, I'd say buy this game, guys, or, you know, see if you can't get it for free, but play it. It's definitely worth it. If you're into bullet hell shooters or hack and slashes, this game is for you. I'm Ash, your D-Class hero, signing out. Please like, subscribe, and comment below. Have a nice day, guys.